once again, good morning, salams, and thanks for attending. Thanks for taking the time to be here today at this webinar. And I hope sincerely that you will leave with something really, really valuable that's going to enable you to guide the rest of your life. I hope this is going to not just be valuable, but exciting and entertaining for you as well. I've I've done this in response to dozens and dozens of people across the board asking me for career advice. Now, this is not an easy time in your life. It's a challenging time. It's a time when you have to make what is at present the most important decision of your life. I think the other important decision of your life is going to be choosing a partner, a life partner. But for now, this is what you have in front of you. And as much as I am now much older than you with lots of white hair on my head, there was a time when I was in your exact same position. And I have been through where you are now. And it was not a very pleasant experience. The one story that comes to mind, if you guys follow my TikTok, I actually mentioned the story about this one man I went to for advice, who my father referred me to, for lack of better knowledge on his side. My dad was a shopkeeper, so he didn't know anything about the world of technology, which was at that time. We're talking about the early 1990s, when technology itself as an industry was little known, particularly here in South Africa, which was in the backwaters because of apartheid and because of all the sanctions that were against South Africa. So we were kind of left in the background. But anyways, I went up to this guy and he said, well, this whole technology and coding, this is an industry that's saturated now. There's no more jobs in it. There's no more careers in it. And you're better off going into something else like dress design or graphic design. And I took this man seriously, even though his advice was total nonsense. I mean, from that point to now, technology has burgeoned and burgeoned again. It has exploded over and over again. And it's been incredible. And it's still there. It's still there 3 decades later, and technology is still expanding and expanding and expanding. It's incredible. But had I taken that advice, I would have gone into a career that I didn't really like, which was something in design, and I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you today, and I wouldn't have had the amazing experiences that I had in life. So you have to be, there's a few things you learn from this. Number one, you have to be careful who you take your advice from. Secondly, you have to have an open mind about it. Don't get swayed by people's ideas and people's opinions. Take people's ideas and opinions. Look at the media. Look at your favorite website. Look at YouTube, what people are saying. But ultimately make your own decision about it, because everybody has their own ideas about it and everybody has their own agendas about it. If you look at the media, they have their own agendas about it and they are entitled to it. Do they have your best interest at heart? No, obviously not. They are there to make you attracted to what they are saying, to make you a loyal follower, etc. Your best well-wisher at this stage in your life is you, none other than you. And I'm going to give you the tools to enable you to make the correct decision in your life. Now, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I've been there. I know your pain, and I love to mentor and guide young people into the right careers. That's one. The second thing is, listen, you getting into a right career is good for everyone, not just those around you, but potentially you could have far-reaching consequences in your life. I mean, think about a person like Madiba, like Nelson Mandela. Had he not chosen the career path that he did, if he went and decided, well, I'm a lawyer now, I'm going to open up a posh practice and I'm going to get rich and I'm going to buy a big house and a big car, our world would not have been the same. But because he made the decision that he did, our world was different. It's the same with so many different people in our lives, those that we might know and identify and those that we don't know about also. So you are at a point where you are about to choose a career, and by you choosing a wrong career, you could impact the world. Who knows? You might be the person who makes a great change in the future that affects and impacts people's lives. Maybe you're going to invent something. Maybe you're going to start a business that transforms people's lives. Maybe in a big way, maybe in a small way. I mean, when I started IT Varsity online in early 2020, I didn't realize that in the year 2022, not 3 years later, I'm going to be graduating 400 software developers and putting them out into the market, people from all kinds of different backgrounds. So remember, your choice is not just about you. It's about the people around you. It's about the world around you. So that's why I am doing it. It's a service to you, but also indirectly a service to me. Let's get into my presentation. I actually prepared a presentation for you, and I'm going to share my screen now. And by the way, if you have a question at any point along the way, please put it into the chat. I will open up for Q&A afterwards, but for the time being, I want you to put your questions in the chat. Remember, this is not about me droning away. This is about you. This is about you making the right choice. Okay, so first and foremost, as you guys have probably already do know, I run an institute called IT Varsity, of which I'm the founder. And the objective of IT Varsity is to link people up with technology. That's it. Link people up with technology for personal and career growth. That's why we exist as an institute. We are unlike other institutes in a sense that our approach is very hands-on. Even though we are an online institute, our approach is very hands-on, and there's a very strong focus on mentorship, on hand-holding and guiding our students into careers that that they will be happy to do. Okay, now Socrates, the great philosopher, he said, "Know thyself," and that's one of the most foundational, one of the most important statements anybody has ever made in the world. Because remember, in life, the most important thing is to know thyself. When you are choosing a career, you have to start with yourself. Now, everybody will tell you that, maybe throw a book at you or a website at you, look at all the career options out there. Wrong. You don't start with the career choice. You start with yourself. Who are you? What is your passion? What do you love? What do you hate? Now, this knowledge of yourself, this journey of self-exploration that you're going to go through, is not just important in your career choice, it's important in every aspect of your life. When you are choosing a life partner, you cannot choose the right life partner if you don't know yourself. When you are choosing a job, when you are choosing a home to buy, when you are choosing a country to go and live in, if you're thinking of emigrating, it all comes back to knowing thyself, knowing who you are, what you prefer. Maybe you are a quirky type of person. That's fine. The fact that you know that is the most important thing. And knowing yourself will give you the confidence to be comfortable in your own skin. You will never experience a time where you feel out of place. You will never find yourself among people with whom you feel out of place. A lot of people, especially young people, teenagers, people in their early 20s, I went through that myself. We felt like a fish out of water. We felt sometimes we feel like an anachronism, like somebody who's out of time and place. But if you know yourself, you become comfortable with yourself. But you can't be comfortable if you don't know yourself. And this is why this is so important from a philosophical perspective. Now, another great philosopher, me, said, more than just know thyself. When you're choosing a career, know thyself, know thy market, meaning what's happening in the world around you, know thy career choice, meaning know what is the choice you are about to make and what are the ramifications of that choice. And finally, know technology, because technology is affecting everything. You know, I keep saying this, that technology is everywhere. Every industry you can possibly imagine, technology is there and it's making a change. If you follow my TikToks, if you follow my radio and TV programs, you'll see that I speak about this all the time. Now think about an industry like agriculture. You never would have thought maybe 10 years ago that artificial intelligence technology is going to be playing such a key role in agriculture, in sports, in personal care, in food production, but yet it's there. So you need to know these four things. You need to know yourself first and foremost. I think that's like 80% of the battle won, just knowing yourself. Next, know what's going on in the world around you. And I'll show you exactly how you come to know that. Then you get to know your career choice, right? What do I mean by this? What I mean by this is, let's say right now, you are at a point where you're almost decided on a career, or you've got an option or three or four options, which most of you probably have. If you are in matric right now, you've probably already made your short list, you've made your university applications, right? Let's say there is somebody, let's call her Tandi, right? So Tandi has three things on her list of career choices. One is she wants to become a biokineticist. One is she wants to become a dentist. And the third, she wants to be a third option. If she doesn't get either of those, maybe she's going to go into psychology. Okay, cool. That sounds interesting. But 99% of people that have these choices, when I speak to them and I ask them, what do you know about that career choice? Let's say you want to become a biokineticist, or let's say something more down to earth, you want to become a doctor. Okay. What do you know about the life of a doctor? Well, they give me three bits of knowledge, which 99% of us know, and know only that. Number one, the title, a doctor or a specialist. I want to become a neurologist. Okay, that's one. What else do you know? Well, I know a doctor is the person that looks at patients and cures people, and a neurologist is a specialist who focuses on conditions that affect the nervous system of a human being. All right, good, very nice. And what else do you know? Well, I know they earn lots of money. Some people go to the extent of telling me exactly how much these people earn. Okay, so is that all? Is that all the knowledge that you have? And you're basing a life decision on such surface level knowledge. You're basing your life on just the glamour around neurologists. Now, Hollywood does this, they glorify certain career paths, like hackers. You see these guys just sitting at the computer, touch a few keys, and the lights are going off, and they're hacking into a system, and somebody's bank account is getting empty, and somebody's bank account is getting full. Is that what it's all about? Or in the world of medicine, when you look at TV shows like I don't know, The Good Doctor, is that what it's like? If you think that's what it's like, you're in for a very, very, very big surprise. So what you need to do is to delve in to know what is the day-to-day life of a doctor. Or if you're thinking something in tech, what is the day-to-day life of a software engineer, for example, or a web designer? What are their happy times? What are their sad times? What are their challenging times? What are the parts they don't like? What are the parts they like? What time do they start work? What does the work look like? If you don't have that level of knowledge, trust me, you're not ready to make that career choice. So that's why I say, know thy career choice. And finally, know the technology, which we've already spoken about. Now, when you look at the market, before we get into knowing these four things, the first thing you need to remember, when you look at the global markets, you look at industries, you'll find that industries fall into one of three categories. Look at the red line. The red line is a graph that's going down, 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 down. Now, there are some industries that are on a decline. They're on a complete decline. And you need to discover what industries are those and stay away from them. Second, you got industries that are going straight. They are level, meaning these are industries that are neither going up nor going down. They are stable industries, what I call the evergreen industries. And finally, you got the industries that are going up, up, and up. Now, how do you discover all this? Now, I'm going to show you very quickly, right? I'm going to unshare and I'll reshare my screen. Right. Now you are going to see the ChatGPT window, right? We're bringing in my friend here, ChatGPT. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ChatGPT, as if you don't know what ChatGPT is, right? So let's ask ChatGPT let's ask it the first question. What industries are currently in decline or will be in decline over the next few years? Now, see, I'm showing you practically how to come to this knowledge here. Let's see what ChatGPT says. Right. Traditional retail, meaning opening up a little shop in a mall or something. Coal and fossil fuels. Why? Because of the strong drive towards renewables. Print media, no surprises there. We saw that coming. Movie theaters, streaming services are killing them. Traditional TV, again, streaming services and social media, YouTube are killing them, right? Travel and tourism. Now, this I question, right? This is with ChatGPT, you don't accept everything that it says. You have to be careful, right? ChatGPT, remember, has information that's up to date as far as 2021. So it's still talking about COVID-19, but ever since COVID-19, things have changed considerably. Okay, automotive manufacturing, traditional, etc., etc. So now we know the industries that are in decline, and we know that we need to avoid all of these industries. Do not go and work in these industries. Next, let's look at the evergreen industries. Right. Let's ask ChatGPT about that. I have some ideas of my own, and I'm sure you also have some ideas of your own. I mean, there are certain things that will never go away. Food production, restaurants, takeaways, etc. But let's see what ChatGPT says. What industries are evergreen, which means they will always be around? Okay, let's see. So now I'm showing you how you're not alone in this. You have ChatGPT, but you need to know how to use ChatGPT to arrive at the right decisions. You can't ask it vague questions. You need to know exactly what you are looking for. So let's look at these industries. See, number one, food and agriculture is what we mentioned. Healthcare, going nowhere. As much as you're going to have robot doctors and dentists and things, remember there's always going to be a human being behind the scene, right? Utilities, education, my favorite. Infrastructure. What kind of infrastructure? Roads, bridges, public transportation systems. Now, these are industries. Don't worry about the careers. We're coming to that. We'll come to that. But look at all of these things. These are going absolutely nowhere. This one, entertainment and media, very, very interesting, right? Okay, so now you know what the industries in decline are and what the industries that are evergreen are, meaning safe. Go into those, but don't expect any boom bangs, don't expect anything, any fireworks, they are there. However, there is some innovation happening. And then you've got the industries that are currently burgeoning, that are really on the up, up, and up. So again, ask ChatGPT, what industries are currently experiencing a lot of growth? Right, now you've got these industries here: technology and software, e-commerce, healthcare, telemedicine. Boy, oh boy, this is so interesting. Renewables, EVs, biotech, remote work, e-learning, edtech. Look at all this. So if you want to get into a growth industry, if you're one of those people who are who love the idea of innovation and growth, rapid growth, then these are what you need to get to, right? So if you're a person who likes stability, then obviously you're going to go into one of those blue line industries, the evergreen industries. I should have perhaps made that in green, right? Because evergreen. But if you're a person who likes exploration, who likes uncertainty, who likes innovation, go into the high growth industries. Look at all these here, right? Amazing, amazing industries, right? So now you know on the overall what industries are terrible to get into, what industries are great to get into. Avoid the reds, go into the blues and greens. Now, as we said, know thyself. Now, this is an exercise which every one of you should do. And this is an exercise which I do frequently. You have to self-reflect. So this is what you do. Separate from everyone. Just go off on your own. Take a walk. Go to a place that stirs up your imagination, that stirs up your inspiration. It could be a beach, it could be a nature trail, it could be a coffee shop, wherever you find that you tend to think better. For some people, it could be the gym. What works for you? See the importance of knowing what works for you. And then do some self-reflection there. Try and ask yourself the question and answer this question: what am I passionate about? What are the things in the world that I would love to change? In what way would I love to make the world a better place? Or, and these are different ways of arriving at the same answer, different questions you can ask yourself. Unfortunately, ChatGPT might give you guidelines, but it can't answer this question. You have to answer this question. Or you can ask a question like, if I didn't have to work for a living, what would I spend my time doing every day? And those are the questions you ask yourself to arrive at the things that you truly, truly love to do. Now, some people will say to me, I don't have any passions. No, you're a human being, right? You're alive, right? You have something you are passionate about. Now, most people will say, I don't have a passion because they are afraid to say what their passions are because of the fear of being embarrassed and humiliated. For example, I was speaking to this one youngster and I asked him, what's your passion? Don't have any passion. No, 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 no. Sorry, son, you do have a passion. What is it? Well, I love, I love YouTube. I love being on YouTube. And I fancy myself as a YouTuber who reviews video games. I said, there we go. You're passionate about something. There's two things here. You just mentioned two things you're passionate about: YouTube and video games. And also on critical thinking, because if you're reviewing the video games, obviously you're being critical about it and you're expressing your opinion. Excellent stuff. So this youngster's face lit up. And I asked him, why didn't you tell me this upfront? He says, well, I discussed it with my parents and they shut it down. They says it's a terrible, terrible thing to get into. Well, that's just their opinion. And I'll tell you why a little later. Right. So self-reflect. Now, you can do that today. The moment this presentation is over, go find yourself alone, away from people, and be honest to yourself. Even write it somewhere. If you're uncomfortable about people finding it, write it somewhere where no one will find it. Maybe on your mobile device, open up a note that is password protected and write it down. But I personally prefer the old-fashioned method, pencil and paper. In fact, a very senior therapist, a psychologist, said to me one time, she gave me advice. She said, write it down. When you write with your hand and a pencil, whether it's a physical pencil or an Apple pencil, somehow that makes a connection with your brain. It gets your brain going, especially if you're writing in your own handwriting. And that brings me to the second point. Keep a journal, right? Again, if you are keeping a journal, as far as possible, avoid typing it. Try to write what you want to say in your journal, and pour your thoughts down onto paper. I promise you, you'll come up with at least 6 things that you are truly passionate about. And again, I'm saying, even if it sounds ridiculous to other people, don't worry about that. This is about you and yourself. It's about no one else. So you could come up with something ridiculous like, I love drinking coffee, or I love eating pizza, or I love watching movies, or I love skateboarding, or putting on makeup, whatever it is, please put it down. So it could be something that you are doing and you love to do, or it could be something that is something that you are passionate about, although you haven't really applied yourself to it. For example, ending world hunger. It just really hurts you, for example, when you come across an article about people that are in famine or people that are starving in an area, or something like the lack of education, lack uh, of opportunities, unemployment, global warming, pollution. Now, these are things that are more global, that affect us globally. Poverty, wealth inequality, all of these things. Now, these are more higher level. So you can go low level, things that you do on a day-to-day basis, or higher level, things that you are truly passionate about. Now, put all those down onto paper. Once you've done that, we'll go to the next point. What might help, what you can do is recall the peak moments in your life, the times when you were truly happy, the times that you really loved and you wish you could revisit those times. Maybe you went on a holiday somewhere. Maybe you did a certain activity. Maybe you spent time with certain people that really made an impact on you that you wish you could go back to. See, that is an indication that you actually loved that you should maybe consider that is your passion. Be curious, not be curiosity. It's be curious, right? Be curious in a sense that if you're not really sure, uh, go on to social media, go on to YouTube, and just look at what people are doing and see what appeals to you. And finally, ask for feedback. Ask people. Go to your mom. Go to your people, the people that know you, your parents, your guardians, your friends, and ask them, what am I truly passionate about? Now, just be careful about the answers they will give, right? Just exercise caution there, because they might give you, or they will give you, what their perceptions are. It might be helpful, but again, be critical about it. Don't insult anybody, but just be critical and know that they're going to give their perspective, which will probably help you in arriving at what you are truly passionate about. Right. Now, what do you do once you've arrived there? Let's take an example. Let's say I went through my passions and I found this one thing that I'm truly, truly, truly passionate about, and that is video games, right? Let's say I love video games. I'm just addicted. I'm totally into video games. Every free moment I have, I'm playing video games. What do you do there? Now, if that's your passion, you need to figure out, what can I do in that space? See, this is one approach. Now let's go back to our friend ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, I love playing. See, you must give ChatGPT as much detail as possible. I love playing video games. Now I want to get into a career in video games. What options are there for me in the industry? Right. Let's see what GPT has to say. Now look at this. Isn't this shocking? When we think of video games, we think, well, there's video games. Maybe your mom complained to you that you've been spending too much of time playing video games. And you might have thought yourself, well, this is just a pastime. This is not something that I could make a serious career out of. Wrong. There are amazing careers that you can find in the gaming industry, starting with game development, right? Game development. Now, these are the people who actually build the video games, right? So you got the game designer. So if you love video games and the idea of creating beautiful graphics appeals to you, then of course you could make. No, this is not that. This is not that type of designer. This is a person who loves puzzles, who is actually designing the whole gameplay, not the visuals, the gameplay around the video game, right? Or you could go into programming. Now, if you love coding, or if you're inclined to coding, and if you're not sure if you're inclined to coding, try some of my free coding courses, or go on to YouTube and find some free coding courses. If you like coding, then you could be a game coder, or you could be a level designer. So you've got the overall game designer. I know people who love creating puzzles and mazes and riddles. Now that's an indication that you are a game designer. But a level designer designs the various levels in a video game. Then you got the narrative designer and writer. So let's look at this now. One is you are in the you love the video game industry, but you also love writing. Look at the combination now. Two passions put into one. Can you see what I'm getting at here? That there's a much more happening in this world than you and I are aware of. Continuing, art and animation, the artist, character animator, concept artist. You're designing the whole concepts around the video games. Then you go into the more technical aspects again, quality assurance, game tester. Oh boy, who wouldn't love to be a game tester? Any person that loves playing video games could become a game tester. Or you go into the production, project manager. If you're the type of person that is very methodical, you love making lists and you love delivering on your promises, and you love getting people into line, you should be a project manager. Game director. Now, there's no time to get into everything, but look at this. Look at number 9, game journalism and content creation. There's people that became multi-millionaires just reviewing video games for other people on YouTube. Education and training, right? Game development instructor, online course instructor. Can you see what I'm getting at? Okay, let's say you have something that is on a more global level, one of those global level passions, the ways that you want to change the world. Let's take pollution. I want to tackle global pollution. What kinds of careers can I get into? Well, let's see what chat says now. There we go. Going on and on and on. And it's not just giving you, the same as with game development, it's not just giving you the career options, but it's also giving you how do you get into that. Can you see that? But you can ask it to unpack this even more, right? So let's take environmental scientist. What does an environmental scientist does? Study ecosystems, etc., conducts research, develop strategies. Now, this is just 3 lines. Again, it's great help, but it's not enough. It's not enough to show you what a day in the life of an environmental scientist is like. Let's take something from here, game development, right? Let's say I want to be a game artist. I somehow find that appealing. So what you do is, the next step, you can ask ChatGPT, what is the day in the life of a game artist? But here's a better option. Leave AI and go to human now. Go into LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, you should create one, right? And do a search on video game artist, right? And see all results. And what you are doing here is you are calling up people anywhere in the world who are artists in the space of video games, right? Now look at this guy, Daniel, right? Daniel is a 3D character artist and a video game tester. Now what you should do is message him, tell him, Mr. and Daniel, Mr. Darabai, I'm very interested in becoming a video game artist, and I'd like to speak to you. I'd like to know more about your industry. Would you mind giving me 20 minutes of your time? Because your advice would be so helpful to me in making a career decision. And if possible, I'd like you to be my mentor. I promise you, and this is Steve Jobs said, and I took this lesson from Steve Jobs. He said, I have never asked for somebody for help in my life that they didn't help me. People are always willing, happy and willing to help. You got that? So ask for help. If you don't ask, you will not get it. Now, I've just found 3 examples. You can obviously change the search parameters and find more people, but you need to connect with these people, take them as your mentor, and take their advice. Got it. That's how I got my first job in software development. Before I proceed, there's just few more minutes that I'm going to speak for, but I want you to ask me any questions, to ask questions. I want to give you this opportunity to ask questions. If you want to come on video and ask, or audio, or you want to put it in the chat, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions at this point. So let's pause here right now. Anybody has any questions? No questions at the moment? Okay, cool. Let's move on. Right. Now, earlier on, I mentioned that you need to know technology. Look, we are living in an age of massive technological advancement. And like I said, technology is affecting pretty much every industry you can possibly imagine. There is very little you will do in the future that will not be enhanced by technology. And I have a habit of speaking to people across various sectors, various industries, whether it's business, agriculture, engineering, design, entertainment, manufacturing, you name it, healthcare. Everywhere I turn, I see technology transforming. So at the heart of everything, remember, you need to learn technology. There's no getting away from that. If you find yourself not very comfortable with technology, here's a bit of advice to you. Get familiar with technology. Fall in love with technology, because technology plus your passion will accelerate you. So for example, if you get into a career that's non-tech, for example, you want to become a chef, right? Specifically, you want to become an Oriental chef, maybe making Chinese foods, right? Now, okay, that's great. But how do you boost your career? You need technology. There are certain technologies that you will need, which you will apply into your career. So for example, how do I envision that unfolding? You will use, obviously, you will have a LinkedIn profile. Secondly, the best and the most successful and most well-paid chefs in the world have an Instagram account, and they put out whatever they are creating on Instagram. Or they have a YouTube where they put out recipes that they are making. See, that's necessary now for career growth. So they demonstrating what they do. Or if you decide you're going to start a business of your own, a Chinese restaurant of your own, then that business has its own technology demands, right? Your entire business will be run around technology, everything from marketing to finance to sales to automation. All of that will be run by tech. And it's important for you to understand the technology behind your career as well as your business. So what I'm saying is, that yes, I am biased. I am a technologist myself. I'm a software engineer by profession. And everybody, everybody, in fact, I spoke at a teachers' conference last week, and I had the same thing. I said the same thing to them: learn technology, because technology is not going to replace teachers, but teachers who do know technology will replace those who don't know technology. Now, I'm going to finish off with one last slide, which is a slide around getting into tech. Now, one of the most in-demand careers that you can get into in technology right now is software development. Software development has been on the rise since the 1970s and is still just going up and up and up. Now, what kind of software? That's the important thing to understand. At different times, you will have been writing different types of software, right? Maybe in the early 80s, you would have been writing accounting software. And then in the early 2000s, you would have been building websites. And then in the latter 2000s, 2008 onwards, the industry went into apps, mobile apps. Now the industry is going into artificial intelligence. So software developers are more or less the kings of the technology industry right now, and probably will be, because these are the people who are creating the technology that everyone else is using. And so they are and always will be in big demand because they speak the language of computers. So those of you who are thinking of a career in technology, I have a learning pathway which I want to show you, which will guide you. Now at IT Varsity, this is the method that we use. So we produce people who are skilled in software development. Now, as a software developer, you can get into, what we call front-end development or back-end development. I'll come back to that. Now, what is a front-end developer? A front-end developer is a person who builds the part of a website or an application that the users actually see. So when you open up an app, what are you seeing there? You're seeing the Instagram app or the TikTok app. That whole interface has been created by people who are front-end developers. And they use technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to build these technologies. And with JavaScript, they use what is known as a library like React to build the front end. So these are the technologies you have to learn to become that person who's building these apps and websites. And the demand for it is amazing. Now, how much do web developers or front-end developers earn? In South Africa, the average salary for a front-end developer is about 600,000 rands a year, which is incredible. And a starting salary is around 400,000 rands a year. So you start off and then you start growing from there, you go average and then beyond average. So it's a really, really good and exciting career to get into, because you're not just a developer, you're also thinking about what is going to be the user experience when you're developing an app. Will this app be useful to my users? Will they find it useful? So I find that very exciting, and that's how I started my career personally. Then you could also become what is known as a back-end developer. Now, the back end of an application. Now, how do you understand front end versus back end more easily? Let me explain to you. Let's say you walk into a food outlet, a takeaway, a KFC. The place that you walk into is the front end of the KFC. So it's a beautiful layout. You see the logos there. You see a counter, beautiful deco. You see your menus there. There's a friendly person that's smiling at you, taking your order. That whole experience that you have there is the front end of the KFC. So it determines your entire experience with the KFC. In the same way, an app or a website determines your experience with that software, or a video game for that matter. The back end is the part of the KFC that you don't see. Once you place your order, the entire process that kicks in, from preparing your food to packaging it, all of that happens in the kitchen. And that's the part that you don't see. And both are important now because a restaurant or a takeaway could have the best kitchen and the best back end in the world. But if the front end is horrible, if it's filthy, or the people are unfriendly, or it's just grotesque, it's just very ugly to get into, people are going to walk away. So both are important. In the same way, if you have this beautiful layout in the front, but the food that comes out is just horrible, it's cold, or there's too much of salt, or it's just unpalatable, people are going to walk away. So the two need to work together, front end as well as back end. Now, in the software world, a back end is the parts of the application that the user doesn't see. And to give you an example, you take a photo and you upload that using the Instagram app. That is the front end done. What happens from that point onwards is managed by the back end of the application, the parts that you and I are unaware of and we don't see. That picture is being uploaded from your device to the server on the web. It's taken, it's stored on the server, it's categorized. Your comments, your description is categorized. Who are you as the user? That's noted down. Whatever comments come out of that, that's also put onto the database. So there's a hell of a lot of processing going on. And that processing is handled by the back end. Now, this is also a very exciting part of software development and very lucrative. Now, as a backend developer, the two major languages in the world to learn backend are either Java or a language called C#. Well, whoops, I'm messing up here with my. So Java, and there's a framework of Java called Spring Boot. So these are the technologies that you will use to become a pro backend developer, or C# and .NET. So C# is the language and .NET is the whole environment that you use to build your applications. In the same way, Java is a language and Spring Boot is the whole environment that you use to build your application. Now, how much do backend developers earn? On average, around 900,000 rands a year. That's a lot of money because backend developers are in big demand. They are in huge demand globally, not just in South Africa. In fact, one of my developers that was working for me, he's also a graduate of mine, really top-notch guy. His name is Adam. He was working for me. He was maintaining our apps. We have an app company also. One day he calls me and he says, you know what, I have some bad news. And I ask him, what is the bad news? I got really worried. He says, I've received another job offer. So I asked him, where? Which company? He said, Amazon. So I said to him, is that something you have to think about? Go for it. Dive in, take it. So at least 5 or 6 of my graduates are now working for Amazon. Now, Amazon is a giant, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people who are working for smaller companies and also freelancing for companies around the world and earning top-notch salaries. And what's great about software development as a career is that you can work in pretty much every industry in the world, whether it's, like I said, education, in the nonprofit space, in the healthcare space, because there's always software being developed or maintained in those spaces, and the money is great. And the best part for me is that you can work remotely from wherever you are in the world. So if you guys are seriously thinking about a career in software development, I would encourage it because it has a number of advantages. Right. With those few words, I will conclude and I will open up for questions. And I also want to make you an offer. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me after today's session, please don't hesitate. I will share with you my email address, and you can contact me, drop me an email, and we will set that up. So I'm putting my email address in the chat. It's bilal@itvarsity.org. BILAL@itvarsity.org. Don't hesitate to reach out to me and ask away if you have any questions. And if you have friends and family and cousins and people that need advice, don't hesitate. Refer them to me. It would be my pleasure to advise and guide them. Cool. I'm going to leave it at that and open up for a discussion. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so there is, oh, somebody says the chat is disabled, but I see there is a question already. Tala, can you just double check that the chat is working for everybody, please? Okay, Shanae says, I've been studying web development, which I find really interesting. However, I'm also becoming more interested in cybersecurity. Can you share any insights on how web development and cybersecurity are related? Are there any specific skills that someone in web development should work on to move into a cybersecurity role? Okay, so there is a very big overlap between web development and cybersecurity. And that is that companies need their websites and their web applications to be secured. So what I would suggest is you do some research, maybe start with ChatGPT, go into YouTube and also Google, and search how to become a web application security expert. Oh, okay. So somebody put out there that the Q&A is on, but the chat is disabled. So you'll see there's a Q&A. Sorry about that. The Q&A is enabled, but the chat is disabled. So please fire away, ask your questions on the Q&A. Okay, so coming back to Shanae's question. Yeah, so I think there's a huge the overlap there. And it doesn't mean that you have to leave your career in web design to get into cybersecurity, because you can offer a double service to your clients, or if you want to go into a full-time job, you can offer a dual service. One is developing the websites and web applications, and the other is securing them. So I think that puts you into a very powerful position. Cool. Any other questions? Thanks for that question, Shanae. Please put your questions in the Q&A. Okay, so Brad has a question. How to, I think there's a typo there, how to get internships in SA? That's the first question. Second question, does age matter since I'm working on a career change? And 3, degree versus certification. Okay, cool. Great questions. Look, internships are always available. You need to contact the CETAs. Now, CETAs, you spell it SETA. So what you do is, if you're looking for an internship in a specific industry, you will contact the CETA that's related to that industry. And in South Africa, there's a CETA for every industry you can imagine. For example, in the IT industry, if you want to do something in IT, in software development, for example, you will contact the MICT CETA. MICT CETA is the CETA that handles everything technology related in this country. So contact them and ask them if there are internships available, or if there are bursaries available. 99% of times they will have something available for you. Number one. Number two, question, does age matter? No, age doesn't matter at all. Whatever your age, I mean, we've got students that are in their 60s and in their 50s. So don't worry about age. You just need to have the determination, and you will succeed. And if you're thinking a career change, it's not as scary and dramatic as it used to be, because now the latest stats are that you will change your career. A normal person will change their career almost 7 times. I'm not saying change jobs. I'm saying change careers 7 times in their lives. So go for it. If you're thinking of a career change, go for it. But Brad, I think maybe you should set up a conversation with me, and we can discuss that further. Finally, degree versus certification. Right. This is a very, very broad topic and a very contentious issue currently. I say it depends on which career you want to get into. There are careers where you absolutely need a degree, right? And that would be careers in healthcare and in legal, and to an extent, it's certain fields of engineering. And I'm speaking very broadly, right? But pretty much everything else, you don't need a degree. With uh, certification and skills, you are good to go. So to give you an example, if you want to become a web designer or a software developer, the better option is to do certifications and to get the skills than degrees. Because now more and more companies, some of the biggest companies in the world, have become wary of people that just have degrees but no skills, because they're going to need uh, to train those people for another year and a half or 2 years before those people can get to work. So a person comes with a degree and no experience, they'll have to train that person. But a person that comes with experience and no degree and is ready to hit the ground running, that person starts delivering value from day one. So in the software development space, copywriting space, software testing, data analytics, uh, man, there's just so many fields where you can get a certificate and build up your skill set, and you can make a success of it. Okay, so somebody said to please put my my email in the Q&A. Just give me a second. Okay, so I'll tell you what, there is going to be a follow-up email with my email address where you can reach out to me. Don't stress that out. But FYI, it's Bilal, Bilal, at itvarsity.org. Very easy. Bilal, Bilal, at itvarsity.org. Cool. Here's another question. I'm a computer science student. This is an anonymous attendee. I'm a computer science student. I am in the process of discovering my interest in this industry. I join competitions and hackathons, but always feel like I'm not enough. That's the thing with the field of software development. That's the field of software development where you always feel like you're not enough. Look, I've been doing this since 10 years old and I'm nearly 50. I've been doing this for 40 years old and I'm still learning. It's a field where you just have to keep learning. But the main thing is understand your underlying, uh, your core principles of software development, things like frameworks and data structures. Those will help you no matter where you are. So if you're feeling like you're not enough, don't stress it too much. It is a kind of career that's constantly in flux, and you will find yourself learning all the time. That's what I love about the industry. You never get bored of it, because every time you feel comfortable, something new happens and you have to adjust. I hope that answers your question. And keep what you are doing. Keep up with the hackathons. Keep growing. Keep the curiosity, and keep seeing where you can apply yourself. And you know what? What I suggest is, if you go through that first exercise of know thyself, you will discover things you are passionate about. And what I suggest is build a software application, a pet project of your own in that space. How's that? Right? So anything to do with what you are passionate about. So for example, if you are passionate about I don't know, you're passionate about, say, empowering people about jobs. Why don't you build an application or a website that is a job board where you can advise, where you can enable people to put up their job listings and put out their CVs and things and enable them to get jobs. I think if you do a little bit of research, it'll be very easy to combine your software development skills with something you are passionate about. And to give you my own example, there was a time when I was studying software development and loving it, but I was also teaching. I was teaching maths to kids from junior and senior primary school, uh, and I loved teaching. And so I built an app, a mobile app that enables kids to do much better at maths. And I submitted that app into the Vodacom App Star Award, uh, and it won. It in 2012. This was the 2012 Vodacom App Star Awards, and it won. And it kicked off my business called Arithmetic, which is today known as Zender. We rebranded to Zender, and now we just build apps for education. So see how a pet project that I built for my students became an award-winning app, which became a business. Incredible, right? So go for it. Go for it. Find your passion and use your software development skills to build something in that space, and you'll be well off. So Anonymous has another question. I don't know if it's the same Anonymous or different Anonymouses here. Would you be open to having job shadowers? Not at all. Not at all. I mean, well, yes, I am. In fact, the whole experience of studying at IT Varsity is a job shadowing experience. When you study at IT Varsity, and this is what makes us very different, when you study at IT Varsity, it's not a course you are doing. It's not just a course. Yes, it's a course, but you are also almost my mentee. You're almost my protege, working under me as your mentor, and me giving you different types of work to do, different types of apps to build, different types of solutions to build, and you building those apps, submitting to me, and me giving you feedback on those. Now, that makes us very, very different from any other institute that you will come across. And I absolutely love working with young people and seeing what they produce. So definitely, job shadowing is part of our DNA at IT Varsity. Any more questions? Okay, so I have a question for you guys. Would you guys like a follow-up to this webinar? And what would you like me to cover in the follow-up? Let's see, we have a second webinar in the next few weeks. What would you like me to cover that would put you in an even better position as far as your career choices goes? Also, that's one. My other question is, how did you find today's webinar? I want, if possible, every one of you to answer this question. Did you find it useful? Does it put you in a more stronger position when it comes to choosing your career path? I'd love to hear your feedback on this, on today's webinar.